Mr. Bernie.
There he is. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Very well, very well. I have to ask you before anything else, how are things going at school?
Actually, everything is fine right now. We have done our quizzes and like they're not bad, but not that much perfect either.
Okay. And the problem you talked about, I know it's been 2 weeks since we talked, but the problem you talked about, is this problem resolved? Is it over?
Yeah,
Okay. Are you happy at school?
yeah, actually.
Okay. Now, how about in terms of friends? Do you have friends at school?
Yeah, actually, I have some.
So would you say, like, if the most popular guy in your class was a 10 and the guy that had no friends was a 1, what number would you give yourself?
I think 5.
Okay, so you're right in the middle. So you're not alone at school. You don't feel
Yeah.
lonely. That's good. That's good. Now, I also want to ask just a little bit. So these quizzes and tests that you've had, how are you doing on the English part?
Actually, because of I don't work that much. Like I'm not working that much actually. Before the quiz, I'm just seeing for just some grammars and there are the kind of stuffs.
Mm-hmm.
And because of I don't do them, it's not that much work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not 100 either.
Okay. Okay. I was surprised. Now you are 16?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my students in Taiwan, now you know Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
The island. Okay. He is 18 and he's about to take a test to get into the university, which that'll
Oh.
be you in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked him about the English section and I was very surprised. His English section includes speaking, that
Oh.
they give him a passage and he has to read it and show how well his pronunciation is. And so he's kind of like you. He's very comfortable talking to me in English. He doesn't seem nervous. I think he'll do fine. But I don't often hear about students taking English tests where you have to speak English. It's
Yeah.
usually reading and writing and grammar and things like that. So, okay, so I have to ask you about the big news. I saw that other teachers have also talked to you and you were talking about Artemis. So what can you tell me? What do you think?
Um. Actually, I don't watch the Artemis yet. Like, uh, but like I have searched just a bit, and it says that it's turns around Earth and like which I don't remember the space launcher's name, but
Mhm.
one more spacecraft have done the same thing to go another planet.
Mhm.
It turns around the world and goes moon like that. It's
Yeah.
been a faster way to go.
And this is the second Artemis mission. Artemis 1 had robotic equipment on board. It didn't have any live people. This one had live people. Artemis 3 is only going to orbit the Earth, but
Oh.
it's going to take the lunar lander, the ship that's going to land on the moon, and practice flying it in Earth orbit.
Oh.
And then Artemis 4 is supposed to land on the moon. So I hope I can live that long, but I'd really like to see it. I'd really like to see that. I hope I can see it. Okay, so before we look at something about Artemis, I wanted to ask you, the other day, 2 weeks ago, we did this word, equitable.
Equitable, yeah.
Do you remember?
To be same to everyone.
Right, right. To treat with fairness, with goodness, equally. Very good. And you'll notice it's related to the word equal. Okay, today's word. to share with you. Okay, can you pronounce that word for me?
Transaction.
Perfect, perfect. And what does that show me? It has to do with part of speech. What part of speech is this?
Actually, I don't remember, but I'll try with a noun.
Good. You're a good guesser. That's good. So when you see words that end T-I-O-N, almost always it's going to be a noun. So transaction, nation, okay, that would be another example. Notion, and then sometimes it's S-I-O-N, like the word mission. So those would be nouns. Now, this is a prefix that is added to the beginning of a word and changes the meaning. Okay. Now, you know other prefixes like un and dis and de. Trans is a little bit longer than most. It has 5 letters. Most of them are only 2. So do you know what it means when we put trans before a word?
Change.
Very good. How did you know that?
Guess.
You're smart. Okay. For example, it can be to change. It can also be to move or to move across. So if I were to come and see you, I would have to take a transatlantic flight from Atlanta to Ankara.
Okay.
Do you see why it would be transatlantic?
Yeah.
It's literally moving across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. Now, transaction is a noun. Rezan, if you look at that word, can you think what it would be if we changed it into a verb?
Verb. Track.
That's right, but now try saying it. See if you can pronounce it right.
Yeah, track. I don't know
Okay.
that much.
You're putting an extra T here. It's transact.
Oh,
Transact.
transact.
And that right there, transact, is the same word, but as a verb. So let me give you an example of what transaction is. Okay. Saturday, we were at the beach last week and we were driving home. We left early in the morning and we stopped at McDonald's and we got 3 breakfast sandwiches for me, my wife, and my daughter, and a cup of coffee for me because I really like coffee. Then I gave them $11. That was a transaction.
Okay.
Do you see this word to describe it?
Exchange. I know.
Okay. And nowadays we often use it with money, with buying and selling, that you exchange something. So they give me the sandwiches and the coffee, I give them $11. That's a transaction.
Okay, I understand it.
On the other hand, if you came to visit me and you had several hundred Turkish lira, I might take you to the bank where you could transact, where you could have a transaction and change your lira into dollars.
Oh, okay.
Now you could also call that an exchange. All right. Today I want to show you this video. I saw this the other day and I thought it was so cool. This is about Artemis and it does not have any sound on it, which is kind of funny that they made a video with no sound on it. And what it wants to show you, it's not like they point the rocket at the moon and shoot it towards the moon and it goes around the moon and comes back. Take a look at what actually happened. And this shows you because the Earth is moving and the moon is moving while Artemis flies through space. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
It's freezing a little bit. Come on. And here's the encounter when they went to the far side of the moon. Okay. Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you notice first they made a very large orbit of the Earth, and then they swung around the Earth and made a much larger orbit, and they went out to the moon. So I thought that was interesting. Now, Rezan, you know a lot about these things. Okay. What is all this greenish cloud-like thing around the Earth? What does that symbolize?
Radiation.
Very good. Very good. Now, that's a great word to use, the perfect word, but it's pronounced radiation. Radiation. So it's got that long A, radiation. Very good. Very good. You know a lot about this stuff. I always enjoy talking to you about it. So that's very good. So they just made a loop around the moon and then came back. So next time when Artemis 4 goes up, they will actually go into orbit around the moon and then land on the moon. That is the plan. All right, my friend. When we were reading the other week, we got started thinking a little bit about how education affects how long you live. And before I went on vacation, we read about the abstract and the introduction. And today we're looking at the methodology. And the methodology section is very short, although it does have some maps on it. So, Rezan, when you're ready, would you start methods?
Okay. First, we reviewed previous studies that looked at education and mortality. Is it correct?
Mortality, right.
Mortality. We searched 7 tapes, databases of scientific studies from around the world. We generated all the studies on this topic published between 1980 and 2023. In total, we identified 603 studies from 59 countries. Figure 1. And next, we conquered a meta-analysis. Is it correct?
Okay, let me help you. Conducted.
Oh, conducted.
Meta-analysis.
Meta-analysis, okay. Next, we conducted a meta-analysis. We combined and analyzed the results from all these studies. We want to measure how education affects mortality risk. We also looked at differences in the effect of educational and different ages. Finally, we checked the effect of education across socio-demographic index levels. This is a measure of a country's social and economic developments.
Okay. this has some hard words. I know it's a little bit difficult, but I'm pushing you to learn the best English you can, okay?
Okay.
But I understand sometimes it's difficult. Meta-analysis. Let me just explain what this is. If you're studying something and you find hundreds of studies about that subject, and then you put all those subjects together to decide what can you learn from all that information, that's a meta-analysis, and meta means large.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, if you are studying the effect that weightlessness has on muscles, okay, and you know that the longer you're in space, the weaker your muscles get unless you exercise a lot. So suppose you found 400 studies about muscles when you are in weightlessness, and you took all that information, put it together. What can we learn? What do we see happening with all of them? So what they said, this idea about education and mortality. Do you see what I wrote about mortality in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Had been studied a lot. There was a lot of information. They found 603 studies done in 59 different countries. Wow, that's a lot.
Oh my.
And they said, what can we learn from all of them? And you'll notice that unfortunately, Turkey was not part of the study. Sorry. Okay, the United States was. Okay, so this was the meta-analysis that they did. So next time we meet, we'll, and you know, I almost called you Berfine. Rezan, one of the things that I think is kind of sad, look at how few countries in Russia, I mean in Africa, participated in the study.
Yeah.
In all Africa, only 3 countries participated. And I think people in Africa die at a much younger age.
Yeah, must be.
I wish that they had participated, because I think it would be really good for them to get that information. So, and none of the, I mean, look at North America has a lot of countries, South America, Europe, almost all the countries in Europe, much of Asia. Okay. It's just kind of sad that some countries didn't get that information.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, my friend, when we were reading about Brian the other day, he found a good place where he can stay, where he's out of the sun, and if it rains, he'll be out of the rain. Certainly there's water. I mean, he crashed in a lake. What's the big problem right now?
Food.
Right, food. What is he going to do about food? And he's trying to remember, he's watched television shows where people have to survive in the wilderness, and he's trying to remember, so what did they do? Let me see if I can remember. Okay. And now he remembers something he remembered from a TV show. Go ahead. Wait.
Wait, there was a one thing. One of the pilots, a woman, had found some kind of beans and a bush, and she had used them with her lizard meat to make a little stew in a tin. Is it correct?
Little stew in a tin
Stew
can.
in a tin can she had found. Bean lizard stew. There weren't any beans here, but they must be berries. They had to be berry bushes around. Around. Is it correct?
Around, right?
No, the bush.
Bushes.
Bushes. Okay. Thanks.
Bushes.
Bushes around. Sure, the woods were full of berry bushes. That's what everybody always said. Well, he'd actually never heard about anybody say it, but he felt that it should be true.
So he thinks, I don't think I'm going to find any beans growing on trees around here, but maybe I can find some berries. So I looked that up, Rezan. Here's a berry bush for blueberries. And here's one for blackberries. Here's a berry bush with raspberries. That's one of my favorites. Okay. And blueberries. And he's thinking, these bushes, these are called currants or nanny berries, they call them. Okay. So, oh, and there's some delicious, I love blueberries. That looks really good. So he's thinking, I don't think I'll find any bushes that have, you know, beans, but maybe I can find one that has berries on it. Let's see what he does. There must be berry bushes. He stood and moved out into the sand and looked up at the sun. It was still high. He didn't know what time it must be. At home, it would be 1 or 2 if the sun were that high. At home at 1 or 2, his mother would be putting away the lunch dishes and getting ready for her exercise class. No, that would have been yesterday. Today, she would be going to see him, Mom's boyfriend. Today was Thursday, and she always went to see him on Thursdays. Wednesday was the exercise class, and Thursdays she went to see him. Hot little jets of hate worked into his thoughts, pushed once, moved back. If his mother hadn't begun to see him and forced the divorce, Brian wouldn't be here now. He needs to stop thinking about his mother and think about finding some dinner.
Yeah.
Go ahead. He shook.
He shook his head. Had to stop that kind of thinking. The sun was still high, and that meant that he had some time before darkness to find berries. He didn't want to be away from his. He almost thought of it as home, shelter when it came to be dark.
He didn't want to be anywhere in the woods when it came to be dark, and he didn't want to get lost, which was a real problem. All he knew in the world was the lake in front of him and the hill at his back and the ridge. If he lost sight of them, there was a really good chance that he would get turned around and not find his way back.
So he had to look for berry bushes, but keep the lake or the rock ridge in sight at all times. He looked up the lake shore to the north for a good distance, perhaps 200 yards. It was fairly clear. There was tall pines, the kind with no limbs until very close to the top, with a gentle breeze sighing in them, but not too much. Low bushes, 200 yards up, there seemed to be a belt of thick, is it correct?
Thick, right?
Thick, lower brush starting about 10 or 12 feet high, and that formed a wall he couldn't see thought. It seemed to go on around the lake, thick and lushly green, but he couldn't be sure.
Okay, let me show you something real quickly. This is brush, this right here. Okay, so I think what he's thinking is he sees some pine trees and they're very tall. Raison, pine trees aren't good for food. There's nothing you can eat on a pine tree. But he knows some of this brush near the bottom of the trees might have the berry bushes. You know, it might have berries on it. And so that's what he's thinking. I need to head there. That might have some berries. He knows that the pine trees aren't going to be any help. If there were berries, they would be in that brush, he felt. And as long as he stayed close to the lake so he could keep the water on his right and know it was there, he wouldn't get lost. So he's not going to get far away from the lake. He wants to be close enough that he sees where it is. When he was done or found berries, he thought, he would just turn around so the water was on his left and walk back until he came to the ridge and his shelter. Simple. Keep it simple. I am Brian Robeson. I have been in a plane crash. I am going to find some food. I am going to find berries.
He walked slowly, still a bit pained in his joints and weak from hunger. Along the sides of the lake, the trees were full of birds singing ahead of him in the sun. Some he knew, some he didn't. He saw a robin and some kind of sparrows and a flock of reddish-orange birds with thick beaks. I'm sorry.
Yep,
20 or
the bird's nose is a beak.
okay, beak. 20 or 30 of them were sting in one of the pines. They made much noise and flew away ahead of him when he walked under the tree. He watched them fly, their color a bright slash in salt green, and in this way he found the berries. The birds landed in some taller willow type of undergrowth with white leaves and start jumping and making noise um, at first. He was too far away to see what they were doing, but their color drew him and he moved toward them, keeping the lake inside of his right. And when he got closer, he saw they were eating berries.
Aha. So he saw these birds up in the trees, and when he got closer, the birds flew away. But they landed in some brush. And as he got closer, he watched them. They're eating. They are eating berries. He found food. Okay? Now,
Okay, right.
if it doesn't kill the birds, will it kill Brian to eat those berries?
No.
Probably not. If it's safe for the birds to eat it, it's probably going to be safe for Brian to eat it. Okay, I'll read one more paragraph and then we'll stop for today. He could not believe it was that easy. It was as if the birds had taken him right to the berries. The slender branches went up about 20 feet and were heavy, drooping with clusters of bright red berries. They were half as big as grapes, but hung in bunches much like grapes, and when Brian saw them, glistening red in the sunlight, he almost yelled. He's so happy, he almost starts to yell. He found something to eat, red berries, and we'll have to see what happens next time. Okay?
Okay, Miss Bernie.
All right. Good to see you, Rezan. See you next
See
week.
you
Bye-bye.
next week, Miss Bernie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.